I gotta say, I was never a huge fan of the turnip mechanics or the stock market in Animal Crossing. I just think players often took it a bit too far by doing things like filling their entire towns with turnips just to make the most money possible. Honestly, I kinda think this defeats the purpose of the game. Oh. I'm actually a huge fan of the turnip mechanic in Animal Crossing. So today, let's explore how players crack the stock market and how we can abuse this to get the most bells possible. Turnips and the stock market appear in every mainline Animal Crossing title, and they work somewhat similarly across the series, but we're of course going to be focusing on the original GameCube release in this video. Before this snotty kid, turnips were sold every Sunday morning by her grandmother, Sow Joan. Fun fact, this name references both sows, which are apparently adult female pigs, and the real-life Dow Jones Stock Market Index, which indexes the 30 most profitable American companies on the stock market. Her original Japanese name, Kaburiba, has a similar pun where her name references both Kabu Uriba, literally meaning turnip-selling granny, and Kabu Uriba, literally meaning stock exchange. Anyways, for those unfamiliar, the stock market in the GameCube version works as following. Every Sunday morning between 6 AM and 12 PM, Joan will appear in a random acre in your town and sell bundles of turnips. You can buy turnips from her in bundles of 10, 50, or 100, and she has an unlimited stock. The price per turnip that Joan sells at is random every time she visits and varies from 70 to 129 bells. And again, since her stock is unlimited, the main factor limiting how many turnips you can buy is how wealthy you are at any given visit. After buying turnips and waiting at least one day, these turnips can then be sold to Tom Nook, who will buy them for a certain price each day of the remaining week, from Monday to Saturday. The reason why you have to wait at least one day to sell them is because Nook will not buy turnips on the same day that Joan sells them, meaning you cannot sell turnips on Sunday. This is done to increase the risk involved with investing in turnips, and it obviously wouldn't make much sense if Nook bought turnips for more than what Joan was selling them for on the exact same day. And finally, under normal conditions, turnips will spoil after 1 week and will become worthless. This means you have to sell them at some point in the week in order to get a return on investment, else you lose everything. Now, I say turnips spoil under normal conditions since there are some glitches you can abuse to cause turnips to never spoil. But these glitches are very limited and take way too much time to set up to be worth performing. Anyways, with the basics of turnips understood, how do we make a profit here? How do we turn all the turnips we invested in into even more bells? The most apparent answer would be to buy turnips near Joan's lowest price of 70 bells per turnip and then sell at Nook's highest price. Essentially, buy low, sell high. But this is a bit naive and actually works against players looking to make a huge profit. See, most of the time, Nook will buy turnips at just a couple bells below or above Joan's selling price. So if a player bought 100 turnips from Joan at 70 bells per turnip and Nook buys them from you at 75 bells per turnip, you gain a net profit of 500 bells, or a 7.1% profit. Not exactly Christmas, is it? But on rare days, Nook will randomly buy turnips for insane prices, several times higher than what you bought them for. And it is these price spikes that are the key to abusing the stock market for profit. During a price spike day, Nook will always buy turnips for exactly 8 times the amount of what Joan was selling them for. Since you do have to put down that initial investment, this means you profit exactly 7 times the amount you put in, or a 700% profit. Obviously way more than 7%. This means you can buy the same 100 turnips at 70 bells per turnip and then sell them all to Nook during a price spike for 56,000 bells, which is a 49,000 bell profit. But since Joan's selling price and Nook's buying price are multiplicatively linked like this, it actually makes more sense to buy from Joan at the highest price possible if you can afford it. So if we instead buy 100 turnips at 129 bells per turnip, selling them to Nook during a price spike would yield 103,200 bells. Or a 90,300 bell profit, almost double the profit of buying at the lowest amount. Now, these profits can only occur due to this game's price spike mechanics, but there's an issue with this system. Mainly, the game decides when you get a price spike at random, meaning you normally do not know when a price spike will occur, increasing the risk of playing the stock market. See, at the start of every week on Sunday, Nook's prices for buying turnips for the rest of the week are already determined. These prices are determined by following special trends which are hard-coded into the game. These trends are as follows. A random trend, where Nook sells slightly above or below Joan's selling price each day. a decreasing trend where Nook continuously buys below Jones' selling price every day, and the spike trend, where Nook is guaranteed to offer that 8 times buying price that we're looking for on one of the days of the week. These trends for each week are chosen randomly, and you would typically have no idea what trend you were getting until you buy your turnips on Sunday and check the price at Nook's store every single day. This means you could potentially buy thousands of turnips just to end up with a decreasing trend and end up selling at a loss. Remember, turnips spoil after 1 week, so we cannot just hold on to our turnips and wait until next week to see if we get a price spike. But what if there was a way to know you're going to get a price spike? What if you could actually predict the stock market and guarantee your profits? It turns out, for a lot of complex reasons, players can actually predict the stock market if they know what they're doing. Remember when I said that Nook's prices are already predetermined at the start of each week on Sunday? Well, the game has to use something to determine these prices. And as you might have guessed, the price trend you receive for that week is determined through an RNG seed value. A random number generator seed is a value that many games often use as a reference to randomly determine other aspects of the game. If you've ever played Minecraft, you might be familiar with world seeds, where you can determine exactly how the world generates by inputting a seed value, which generates the same world every time you use it. This is basically how RNG seeds work in Animal Crossing as well. Meaning if we could realistically know what this RNG seed value is on Sunday when the game determines Nook's buying prices, then we could actually know what the stock market would look like each week. However, it turns out figuring out this RNG seed value without hacking the game is a pretty monumental ask. First, this RNG seed value in Animal Crossing is an unsigned 32-bit integer, meaning it has a range of values from 0 to 4,294,967,295. And second, the game actually has a function to randomize this RNG seed value, which is called pretty often, meaning that this RNG seed is different every single time. With this knowledge, it should be pretty much impossible to determine this seed value without actually hacking the game, right? Well, you'd think so, but that didn't stop Animal Crossing enthusiast Brian MP16. Brian has been around the Animal Crossing GameCube community for around 2 decades now and has documented many of the game's mechanics himself. While looking to become the first person ever to legitimately obtain 1 billion bells, Brian ran into the same risks with turnip selling and wanted a sure way to predict the stock market and save himself both time and sanity. Now, in the interest of not wanting to take anything away from Brian's video, I'm only going to summarize his findings here. So definitely check out that video where he goes super in-depth if you're curious. Trust me, Brian's video is awesome and extremely impressive. But to summarize it, Brian figured out that the items that appear in Nook's shop are also randomly determined by an RNG seed, and these items could realistically be used as an input to determine what this RNG seed value is when it is used to determine the stock market prices. Since the items that appear in Nook's shop are also randomly determined and players can actually see what they are in real time, they are the perfect starting points for reverse engineering the RNG seed value. This means you can go into Nook's store, note down which items are in your shop, and run your own independent calculations mimicking the game's code to see what the RNG seed value will be on Sunday when the game determines the stock market values. Now, admittedly, this is a pretty gross oversimplification, as this calculation is extremely complex and requires pretty detailed knowledge of the game's item mechanics to calculate correctly. But through Brian's work, along with coding assistance from Animal Crossing hacker Kyler, a program was released that could realistically determine stock market price spikes, all by just noting down what items appear in Nook's shop. And this is fair game, since all of the knowledge used in this calculation is obtainable in the vanilla game. Again, if you want to know the specifics on this calculation, I highly suggest watching Brian's video on this topic. Brian himself, along with Kyler and a few others, are practically the godfathers of original Animal Crossing, so big thanks to Brian for allowing me to mention his discovery in this video. Anyways, with this prediction program, all risk is essentially removed from the stock market and players can now predict with 100% accuracy when is the most optimal time to buy and sell turnips. This means we can now buy turnips and basically guarantee a 700% profit roughly every 10 to 12 days, which is the average rate that the game spits out a price spike. And of course, this works exponentially, with the more bells you gain from price spikes equating to more bells you can use to buy Jones' unlimited stock on the next spike. Realistically, the only limiting factor to this now is the amount of space you have in your town and how much you value your time to just sit there and buy turnips for hours on end. Just for fun, let's assume you cleared your town of trees and Joan is selling at the max price of 129 bells. This would equate to roughly 200 spots per acre, plus an additional 164 spots in a fully upgraded house. This means you can store 6,164 bundles of 100 turnips, or 616,400 turnips total. Now, selling these all to Nook during a price spike will give you a very generous payday of 636,124,800 bells. Now we're talking. And that is how players crack the stock market in Animal Crossing, and how it can be abused to get a truly absurd number of bells. Hopefully you found this interesting, and if so, I encourage you to check out some of my other videos on this channel, as they're all related to technical Animal Crossing content. Until next time, thank you for watching.